In this video, we're going to talk about how to play jazz piano. Like Bill Evans, we are looking at the solo that he did over Autumn Leaves on the album, A Portrait in Jazz, and this is the third in our tutorial series. It is a video in and of itself because we're basically analyzing it phrase by phrase and bar by bar. So if you want to put a little Bill Evans into your style of playing, then this is going to be a good video for you. What I'm going to do is start off by playing two choruses of Bill Evans' solo that I lifted and transcribed, and I'm going to put a link to the sheet music a little bit later on. So let me play the solo for you, and then we'll come back and dive in and continue on where we left off from the last video. All right, so there you have the two choruses of solo. Where we ended off in the last video is we talked about this ostinato rhythm that he's doing starting on the A half diminished seventh. And then he's finishing off the phrase with this lovely little bebop line. So you'll often hear Bill Evans finish a line on one, or the first beat of the bar, and then with a bebop, right? So you've got bebop here. So that line is. So I think you can see where those notes are coming from. Again, he's really focused on the D flat, which is the major seventh of a D7 chord. And so D7 is kind of like the prominent chord through all of that. And then he's finishing off with this little bebop line. So that's all done. And then he kind of still makes a hint to it. So he's still going on with this D flat here, even after all of that rhythmic phrasing is done. And now we get into more scales. So there's interesting scales going on here, and you're always probably looking for ways to increase your knowledge of what scales to use and where, and this is a good section for that. So we've finished off with that, and now let's just kind of start this whole new line here, which is basically this whole thing. So where did all that come from? Well, first thing is you do, I think in his head what's happening here is you've got a 2, 5, 1 of G minor. So as soon as you start thinking about that, the dominant chord is kind of the chord that is the most obvious in that whole thing. It's definitely the most dissonant. And so when you get dissonant chords, you start to do chromatic things like he does here. So if we're going from the E flat to the E natural here, so where's that coming from? That's coming from a whole tone halftone scale. So this is chromatic scale. Right? So if you've got that over a D7 chord, And that's really what he's doing here. He's using that chromatic scale right up until this point, which that's the destination note. And then he's continuing on with it. Again, still same chromatic scale throughout this whole passage here, right up until he gets to here. So. And he's breaking it up there, and the destination note is your B flat, so he's just got chromatic notes heading into there. So while the B isn't part of that chromatic scale, it's part of another chromatic scale, it's just a passing note in this case. So all chromatic scale here. So you can see where it breaks up right there. And here, I would think, again, he's focused a lot on that F sharp, which in G minor 7, it's the harmonic minor scale, right? Which gives it that sound. And he's actually just stepping into that for a second and then going to the destination note, E flat. So E flat major 7, while it's the prominent chord of the moment, could think of that like a blues. Okay, let's play the whole phrase starting from the A half diminished 7th here. I'm going to let you figure out the fingering for that. For me, I can tell you I had a difficult time with it, just trying to figure out how to make it flow smoothly while using the correct fingering to make it sound smooth. So. I'm not going to go back and sort of talk you through the fingering for each of that. I would suggest that you just basically shed those lines over and over again, because it really is chromatic scale. So if you can see that chromatic scale in use in other ways, let's say we have a 2-5-1 of G minor. I mean, a very different thing than Bill Evans played, but same idea, right? That's where you're getting that sound from. Right? Great sound. I mean, I'm just basically borrowing the concept from Bill Evans and just playing my own notes. And I think that's really the whole point of learning to play like Bill Evans. You have to understand the thought process, and then you take that thought process and apply it to your own playing. All right, so that's a great line. And then what we're doing is just playing basic scales when we get to this 2-5. But he is also, doing chromatics at the beginning and then just going to the scale. And then continuing on in the next line. And let's go and tackle that. Okay, we're starting here where you've got the 2-5-1 of G minor 7. So again, these are chromatics here and then just following the D7 scale. And then he's got this really, really cool thing going on here with the G minor 7. So do you remember before when we focused a lot on that D flat, which if you look at the D7 chord, it's the major 7th of a D7 chord, which gives it just that out sound. And again, he's just spelling the chord here, where you've got the third, first, and fifth of the chord, and then under and over to get to that. Not an easy thing to play, by the way, in terms of fingering. But really, really cool sound. And then continuing on, and really this is chorus 2 starting here on the C minor 7. So we've made it through a whole chorus of solo. And he's repeating this idea, he's doing it getting into the next solo or the next chorus of solo. So he's building it here, and then he's doing the da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Same thing, where this is the same as that. Again, really not an easy thing to play, that whole bar here. So let's take it from here, and let's hear what that whole thing sounds like to the end of the solo. So from the G minor 6/9 chord. Okay, probably it's better to listen to the solo to get that perfectly in terms of rhythm, but definitely super interesting in terms of sounding like Bill Evans. This is like really pure Bill Evans stuff. Okay, so now we're into the second chorus of solo, and I think at this point we're going to bail on this particular video, and we'll talk about this next part of the solo in the next video, and you have that to look forward to. All right, so I'm going to put a link to the sheet music up here in the corner, which is the entire transcription of 2 choruses of his solo. And it includes obviously the comping in the left hand and the right hand. I wouldn't worry too much about comping exactly the same as he does. It gets pretty intricate, and I wouldn't suggest that you absolutely have to learn it that way, but definitely gives you some ideas on how to approach comping in the left hand. They're pretty straightforward voicings. There's nothing too odd about them, but definitely in terms of rhythm, I would suggest you take a look at that. All right. If you have any questions or comments, you can post them below in this video. I look forward to hearing what your feedback is on Bill Evans. And if you have another Bill Evans song that you want to focus on and that you maybe need some guidance with, please post that in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. Okay, if you like it, the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. When you do, hit the little bell because you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos that we are making. And again, don't forget to download the sheet music. It's a lot of fun to learn and play like Bill Evans.